from the booth with Louis Riddick and Brian Griese on the way. Ryan Clark's been studying the film. He'll break down the Tua to Waddle connection, and it was prolific tonight. First, let's get back out to the Superdome where Laura Rutledge is with the Dolphins winning quarterback Tua Tagovailoa.
Tua, you've won 7 straight after losing 7 straight. I don't care who you play. This league is hard to win in. What has allowed this group to turn it around so well?
Yeah, I think the guys spend a lot of time outside of the building with each other, and I think that's what's brought us closer within the team meeting room, in our individual meetings, to get on the same page and do things, that we want to do, essentially in the offensive game, in the defensive game, and then in the kicking game as well.
Before we started this interview, Jalen Waddle basically tackled you out here. You used him in a lot of different ways tonight. You're getting beat up out here. You used him a ton of different ways tonight. What has he brought to this offense, Waddle? I
think Waddle's brought a lot. You can see that when they do try to cover Waddle, that he opens up other guys as well. So, I would say he has a lot to do with the game plan, but, you also got to have a game plan for when they do decide to cover him.
What can you say about your defense holding the Saints to 3 points tonight? How do they fuel this team?
Yeah, I would say the defense played more than complimentary football for us offensively. We didn't put good drives together in the first half like we wanted to, but the defense obviously gave us some life with the interceptions, and the stops. So that was big for us.
So you win tonight, but you got to win out to make it to the playoffs. You got Tennessee, you got the Patriots. Why is this team built to win out?
Well, I wouldn't say we're built to win out. I would just say that, it's hard to come on the road and win, and we're just going to enjoy this win tonight.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Over the course of this 7-game winning streak, Tua has been awfully efficient, completing 74% of his passes since the streak began in Week 9, which is the highest percentage in the NFL over that span. As we do every Monday night, we visit with Louis Riddick and Brian Griese. And Louis, I want to begin with you. This rookie quarterback for the Saints has got all day to think about going up against that Dolphin defense. And that Dolphin defense put a lot on tape to like. As a guy that played on that side of the football, from your vantage point, what stood out about how they pressured and dominated this game?
I think it's all about them being multiple, Scott. Look, especially when they get them in second and long, third and long type situations. That's just not what a young quarterback wants to see. And as a defensive player, you're sitting there going, look, Christian Wilkins told us this. We want to take care of first down so we can get to the fun stuff. Well, they got to a lot of the fun stuff to the tune of not allowing them one single third down conversion. And I think it's just all the different ways they attack. They always have another thing that they can go to, whether it be a true zero blitz, whether it be single high, double high. They ran a corner fire one time, rotated the cover 2 in the back. Beautiful. I mean, for a young quarterback, this is like the worst possible concoction of things that you could face in your first start. You're down a bunch of offensive linemen. You've already been speed deficient on the perimeter, and now you're going up against a defense that really just senses blood in the water. You shouldn't be surprised with the result being what it was.
No, and look, the second pass of the game's a pick six. And Brian, I was looking for some context from you, but you actually faced the Dolphins and were excellent in your first start. But if you put yourself in the shoes of Ian Book in this game, and it is Monday night, the bright lights, and the second pass of the game goes the other way, and then, as Louis said, there's kind of blood in the water. I mean, how's he supposed to do any better than he did?
Yeah, Scott, it was tough. I mean, it would have been tough if he had his full allotment on offense, but
Exactly.
He didn't. He was without his top 3 tackles, and so the only way that Ian Book was going to look serviceable and not look like a fish out of water would be if they could keep the game close, if they could run it with Kamara and Ingram, and then you ask him to do a couple of things on third downs and red zone, and ask him to execute those things. But the game got out of hand. When they got down early, and we talked about it, if the Dolphins got up 2 scores, they're going to have to throw the football, and then you bring the tackles into play, and it was just going to go downhill from there.
All right, a thought from both of you on the Dolphins, and this is not meant to minimize, it's just meant to provide context. If we look at who they've beaten, they've faced Glennon, and they faced Book, and they've faced Flacco. I mean, you're going to have to face the Patriots and the Titans here, and you're going to have to win something to get in. I mean, whatever the threshold is going to be to make it. Do you guys believe, Louis, I guess you could start, and then Brian, you could finish it up. You believe that Miami's a playoff team?
I believe that defensively they are, and if they play complementary football, they can be. But they have to play basically flawless on the defensive side to help out an offense that's just very sporadic, Scott, in terms of its ability to make explosive plays. So defense and special teams are going to have to make sure that they play almost perfect. I think defensively they can do it. They're going to have two challenges that are going to be very similar in New England and Tennessee. Both teams are going to pound you with the football and then try and hit you over the top with play action. I think they can handle those kind of things, but both teams play just knockout-type defense. We'll see if Miami has answers on that side of the football.
So Miami played a better defense tonight, but this was not a defense at their full capacity, and they scored 13 points. Take out the pick six out of there, and they scored 13 points. That's not going to cut it against Tennessee, and it's not going to cut it against New England.
Yep.
So they have to be better. They have to be more explosive. Jalen Waddle is there. They need other complements. Devontae Parker needs to step up. They need to continue to get Duke Johnson the ball because he brings a little bit of juice, but they have to get more explosive if they want to get to the playoffs.
It's interesting, a few years ago, Miami went up to New England in a game New England had to avoid the wild card, and they won that game. We have a Dolphins fan that works on our staff. He said, we never win the game when we need to. Well, it looks like they might need to be part of the tournament. We'll see if they've got the goods. One last time, we'll get to visit next week before the playoffs. Look forward to it, fellas, and Happy New Year in between, all right?
Absolutely.
You too, Scotty. Thank you.
Thanks.
Louis Riddick, Brian Greasy. We'll visit with them next week as well. As for that connection, we'll talk more about this a little bit later with Ryan Clark. Tua to Jalen Waddle. About 10 of 12 with 92 yards and a touchdown when tossed into 17. The 10 receptions tied Jerry Rice for the most ever by a rookie on Monday Night Football. Across NFL history, there have been 232 losing streaks of 7 or more games and 198 winning streaks of 7 or more games. The Dolphins are the first team in the history of the league to have both in the same season, one of each. The win streak currently has them in playoff position. Across NFL history, the 70 Bengals, the 14 Panthers, and Washington last season, the only teams to make the playoffs after falling 5 games under 500. Dolphins are now in position to be the first playoff team ever who at one point in the season was 6 under 500. Miami's victory means there are 4 teams at 8-7 fighting for that last spot in the playoffs, with 3 7-win teams right behind them. Of those 4 8-win teams, FPI says the Chargers, who lost at the Texans on Sunday, have the best chance of winning out to finish 10-7. All right, coming up, we will hear from Sean Payton and Brian Flores.